Before the skyscrapers, before the traffic, before the millions of people, there was just a small, quiet island at the edge of a river. For thousands of years, a group of Native Americans called the Lenape people lived here. They hunted in the forests. They fished in the rivers. They called this place Mannahatta, which means Island of Many Hills. It was a beautiful, peaceful place. Nobody could have imagined what it would become. In 1609, an English explorer named Henry Hudson sailed into the bay. He was working for a Dutch trading company. He looked at this island and saw something important, one of the best natural harbors in the world. A few years later, Dutch settlers arrived and built a small trading post at the bottom of the island. They called it New Amsterdam. In 1626, the Dutch bought the island from the Lenape people for some tools and cloth worth about 60 Dutch guilders, roughly $1,000 in today's money. It was a busy little town. Merchants, farmers, and traders came from many countries. Even in those early days, New Amsterdam was already a city of different people. But the Dutch did not stay for long. In 1664, English warships arrived in the harbor. The Dutch governor wanted to fight, but the people of the city refused. Without a single shot fired, the English took control. They renamed the city after the Duke of York, and that is how New Amsterdam became New York. When the American Revolution began in 1775, New York was one of the most important cities in the colonies. The British knew this. They captured it in 1776 and held it for 7 long years. When the war ended in 1783, something remarkable happened. New York became the very first capital of the United States. George Washington was inaugurated as the first president right here, on the steps of Federal Hall on Wall Street. The capital later moved to Philadelphia and then to Washington, D.C. But New York kept growing. By 1790, it was already the largest city in America. And then came a project that would change everything. In 1817, construction began on the Erie Canal, a massive waterway connecting the Hudson River all the way to the Great Lakes. When it opened in 1825, goods from the entire American interior could now flow directly through New York. The city exploded. Shops, banks, and warehouses appeared everywhere. Money poured in from all over the world. Between 1820 and 1920, something truly extraordinary happened. More than 12 million people came to America through New York City. They came from Ireland, Italy, Poland, Russia, China, and dozens of other countries. Many were escaping famine, war, or poverty. They arrived with almost nothing, just hope. Their first sight of America was often the Statue of Liberty, standing tall in the harbor. She was a gift from France, opened in 1886. For millions of tired, frightened immigrants, she was a symbol that they had made it. From 1892, most immigrants had to pass through Ellis Island, a small island in the harbor where doctors checked them for illness and officers wrote down their names. Over 12 million people passed through those doors. Many settled in neighborhoods that looked and felt like the countries they had left behind. Little Italy, Chinatown, the Jewish Lower East Side. The city became a patchwork of cultures, foods, languages, and music. That mix of people became New York's greatest strength, and it still is today. By the late 1800s, New York had a problem. There were too many people and not enough space. The island of Manhattan is only 13 miles long and 2 miles wide. The city could not grow outward, so it grew upward. New technology made this possible. Steel frames could now hold enormous weight. Electric elevators meant people could travel to the top floors easily. And New York had something special: solid rock under the ground, strong enough to support very tall buildings. In 1902, the famous Flatiron Building opened, one of the first skyscrapers in the world. Then the Woolworth Building in 1913. Then the Chrysler Building in 1930, with its shining silver top. And then, in 1931, the Empire State Building, 102 floors, the tallest building in the world for 40 years. New York was not just growing, it was reaching for the sky. In 1898, the 5 boroughs, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island, officially joined together to form one giant city. The population crossed 3 million people, then 5 million, then 7 million. New York was not always glamorous. In the 1970s, the city nearly collapsed. Factories closed, jobs disappeared, millions of people left for the suburbs. Crime rose sharply. The subway was covered in graffiti and felt dangerous at night. In 1975, the city ran out of money and nearly went bankrupt. A famous newspaper headline at the time said, "Ford to city, drop dead." But New York survived. Slowly, through the 1980s and 1990s, the city began to recover. Crime fell dramatically. Neighborhoods that had been abandoned became vibrant again. New businesses and artists moved in. Times Square, once a symbol of everything wrong with the city, became one of the most visited places on Earth. Then came September 11th, 2001. 2 hijacked planes destroyed the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. Nearly 3,000 people died. It was the darkest day in the city's history. New York mourned, but it did not fall. The city came together with a strength that surprised the whole world. And in the years that followed, it rebuilt, including One World Trade Center, completed in 2014, which stands today as the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. Today, New York City is home to over 8 million people. If it were its own country, its economy would be the 10th largest in the world. More than 800 languages are spoken here, more than in any other city on Earth. People from every single country in the world live within these 5 boroughs. It is a city of Central Park and subway stations, of world-famous museums and corner bodegas open at 3 in the morning, of Broadway shows and street musicians, of Wall Street bankers and immigrant families working 2 jobs. No city tells the story of modern life quite like New York. Every generation of immigrants, every wave of change, every moment of crisis and recovery, all of it is written into the streets and buildings of this extraordinary place. From a quiet island of hills to the greatest city in the world, New York was not built by one people or one plan. It was built by millions of ordinary people who arrived with almost nothing and built something extraordinary together. That story is still being written today. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more stories about the cities that shaped our world. Next time, we'll look at another great city and ask the same question: how did it begin? How did it grow? And what made it what it is today?